like to play. It's waiting for you.
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
I felt like there was somebody there, only I couldn't see him. And then all of a sudden he started attacking me.
Whoa. Beth, that's creepy.
I know, it's really scary.
Okay, the first thing to realize is it is just a dream. There's nothing to be afraid of. Dreams are only your subconscious's way of talking to you. Beth, if your subconscious asks for me, I'm not here, okay?
You know, I have a book that explains dream symbols. I'll get it and we'll crack this baby. Oh, shit. Cindy's gonna kill me.
Attention, we have a missing and dangerous patient. Ward personnel locate and subdue patient Robert Henkel. I repeat, we are missing patient Henkel.
Uh-oh. Somewhere someone's killing kittens. I can feel it.
Andy!
So what exactly did this guy do?
It's horrible.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
Go on, John. I like being spooked.
I'll stop if it's really scaring you.
No, it's okay. You guys go on. I'm not feeling so great. I'm gonna go upstairs.
He murdered 5 members of his family.
Only one little girl survived. She lives with the aunt.
He may be headed there.
This guy is really sick.
Tell him to get over there right away. This girl's in real danger.
Hello, this is Caitlin O'Haney, the final girl from He Knows You're Alone. And you're listening to Hysteria Continues.
And indeed you are. Welcome back to The Hysteria Continues. This is episode, it's either 163 or 164. The reason I can't remember, I don't know, is because we're recording this way in advance. And as you may have remember, if you listen to our last show, I'm still in an empty room, so I've got that kind of Vincent Price type echo going on in the background. So apologies for that. But
it's 163. It'll be 163.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Joseph. So we are going to be covering possibly the scariest film that was released on September 15th, 1986. Whatever day it was released, Sorority House Massacre. And if you hadn't guessed, I'm sure you had, it's Nathan's pick, and Nathan is very excited, aren't you, Nathan?
I am very, very excited to discuss this movie because it's got Massacre in the title. That's a win already.
Well, exactly, yes. And how are you, the man with a plum in his mouth?
With a plum?
Plum.
In my mouth?
Plumage.
Is that what you said?
Plumage.
Oh, because of plumage. Yeah, that damn Italian word.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing really well, really well. I've seen many birds outside with many plumages, and I think they are very beautiful.
Well,
or beautiful, if you want to say it the way it's spelled.
Well, that's lovely. What a lovely image. Thank you, Nathan. That's very poetic. And can you give us something poetic, Erik?
Some guy just killed Tracy.
That was a great American accent, Erik.
That was. That was fantastic. And Joseph, how are you doing?
He sounds like he's eating Melanie's ice cream. Are you okay, Joseph?
Have we lost Joseph? Joseph?
Is he got? He's trying on Cindy's clothes.
Oh,
Joseph, come back.
Oh, no, I was on mute the whole time. Okay, I'm just going to pick up from where you said, and how are you doing? So
well, I'll leave this all in because people need to know.
I like that Joseph was talking about the movie.
Oh,
people will think you're stupid.
I had a great thing to say, and now you're going to mess it up.
We're going to mess it up. Anyway,
because you won't let me redo it.
Okay, no, we will. So we can just take it from here. So, how are you doing, Joseph?
Oh, what I was going to say is it's time to put some wow into this powwow.
Thank you very much. And I think if you've seen Sorority House Massacre, we all know what that refers to, I think. So, yes, we are back. And say we are recording this way in advance. So if the rapture has happened as it's supposed to on Monday, it does mean we don't have to cover Nathan's next pick, which...
No, it can't.
Is there a rapture supposed to happen on Monday?
Apparently it's supposed to happen on Monday. So if you do hear this and the rapture, surprisingly, a massive surprise hasn't actually happened, like the last 565 million times it's been predicted. So, yes, apparently...
Because we're not going to heaven.
No, well, we'll still be here, won't we? So, yeah, and I imagine most of the people listening to the Hysteria Continues won't be raptured.
Well, then that means that we can all enjoy the next double feature I'll be picking.
Yeah.
Suddenly I found God.
Yeah, so if I've repented, praise Jesus. Yeah. So, okay, well, we will be coming on to that a little bit later, as ever. But as we recorded yesterday, we probably haven't got a massive amount I've recently seen, but I'll throw it out there to you in case you've caught anything. Well, actually, I imagine Eric's caught quite a few last things in the last 24 hours. But have you actually seen anything, Erik?
I did. I saw, there's this brilliant film I watched last night about a small family dinner that's erupts into a violent bloodbath when one guest snaps and decides to go on a rampage. It's called The Old Federal Massacre 2. And it was really suspenseful, really terrifying. There's a great scene in it where, you know, the Scream Queen, Hazel Tankersley, she's in her bedroom and she's discussing with somebody else, like, we can't open that door or else Nathan's going to kill us. And that was my favorite bit.
Was this
the best part about it, you know, if you think about it, is that on the other side of the door, the girl's like banging on the door saying, let me in, you know, he's after me. And they're like, should we let her in? And Hazel's sister Jean's like, no. And that's her granddaughter. And she's like, no, we shouldn't. I did
enjoy the blooper reel over the end credits as well, where you're trying to kill the girl, but Hazel Tankersley is standing in the doorway.
Just watching the scene.
Yep. Needless to say, The Old Federal Massacre 2 is one of Nathan's sort of 5-minute films from when... How old were you in this, Nathan? About 16, 17?
Yeah, it was somewhere around in that area.
I can't
remember, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I do...
So this was last year then, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm that young.
I do. I have been watching one thing. It's not a movie. It's called it's called Drive-In Delirium, The New Batch. It's a 6-hour compilation of trailers, mostly horror exploitation, but there is some sort of highbrow trailers on there as well. It's an Australian release on Blu-ray, and it's really entertaining. It's got like lots of slasher movie trailers on it that we all know and love. Some of the Friday the 13th. It's got The Prowler, Demented, Silent Scream, Don't Go in the House, The Slayer's on there. So nothing new, I wouldn't say, but it's just nice to have them all in one place and playing continuously in sort of in the background while you're doing stuff. It's kind of fun. So yeah, that's all I've been watching.
Okay, well, fantastic. Well, thank you, Erik. And is that on Blu-ray? The Federal House Massacre?
Is that on
Federal Massacre? No,
it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I know Joseph watched it because he quoted one of my classic lines from it.
Yeah.
So
there's only one. You know why it's not out on Blu-ray? I don't know. Maybe Toya can help us out with that one. Yeah, it's a mystery indeed why it's not on Blu-ray.
Well, I do have to apologise in advance because Erik has got soundboard now. So.
I've got you, Toy. Hang on. What was that? Did you hear that?
Let's eat Melanie's ice cream.
I want a soundboard. Then we could compete.
Yeah. It's going to be so much fun.
Hold on. Can you just talk amongst yourselves because I can hear a strange sound coming from outside and it isn't on the soundboard. It won't be a second.
Oh, no. Now I'm scared for Justin.
I hate you! You whore! These slaves that go back and forth.
Some guy just killed Tracy. There we go. That's my mega mix.
Some guy just killed Tracy. Yeah. I'm so irritated about it, too.
Yeah. And I've forgotten to put on my underpants.
I love these just wearing shoes.
Yeah, I know. Sexy. Wonder what the strange noise is outside Justin's.
I don't know. I hope it's not the killer from Sorority House Massacre.
Well, no, that was quite strange. I heard loads of crashing and things moving about and a cat yowling, and I went outside and there was nobody there apart from the cat.
That's scary, Justin.
That is scary.
It's like a haunting.
And the only other person who's in the house is on a different floor.
Oh.
So
coming from inside the house.
It is coming from inside the house. This is kind of
terrifying.
It is quite terrifying. Well, actually, it's strange. It might link into my recently seen. But so anyway, I hope you didn't say anything too rude because I'm not going to cut this out because I haven't got time. But So, yes, who's not gone? Nathan, what have you seen in the last 24 hours?
The only thing I watched in the last 24 hours was Demon Wind.
Oh, yeah.
It's about demonic winds. It's kind of a ripoff of Evil Dead, a little bit. But that's okay, because I like ripoffs. I think they're awesome. And Demon Wind is really good. I love the scene where one of the characters gets turned into the doll in front of all the other characters. Like this happens in front of the other characters. So to me, I think I would be freaked out, about seeing somebody turned into a doll. I think that would be a very scary thing to witness. But two of the characters decide to argue about their relationship a little bit later after that. And I'm just like, priorities. We need priorities here, people. I will say that I'm not going to say too much about it, only because I'm going to pick it for a Patreon pick sometime. So I can explain more in detail then. But let's just say the wind is demonic.
Demonic?
Yeah.
Do you mean demonic?
Yeah, I was trying to say demoni and demonic, and it just sort of blended.
Well, I did nothing wrong with a blend.
Yeah, I blend stuff all the time in a blender.
I bet you do, yeah. But, okay, well, thank you, Nathan. Joseph?
You're welcome.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's all getting on very nicely, aren't we? There's no sign of the rhubarb lady just yet. But, yeah. Joseph, what have you been watching, if you've anything in the last 24 hours?
I watched Family Feud.
That's Family Fortunes to you and me.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Was it any good? Was it scary?
It's a great show. It's currently hosted by Steve Harvey, and it's hilarious. But as far as film-wise, no. I have not watched anything in the last 24 hours. So.
Okay. Well, no, fair enough. But I do have a feeling it's going to be one of those shows. Do you know what I'm talking about? Usually it happens when Nathan picks. So
what does that mean?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a curse.
No, I'm thinking it's like good luck.
Well, possibly. But what the only thing that I've just watched actually was that I saw a few trailers for the new Channel 4 series called Real Horror. And it's essentially it's kind of it's a mixture of documentary and recreation, or what they call, basically reenactment of real life or supposedly real life horror stories, things that have horrific or supernatural things that have happened to people. And that's why that noise outside was a little bit spooky, because the one I've just watched was about a family moving into a remote Welsh farmhouse, and all sorts of spooky things start happening, and it's very, very effective actually. If you like the kind of Conjuring style sort of spook fests, then it does pack quite a punch into 45 minutes. What does let it down is it's a bit gaudy, and it does talk about, I think stuff that could have been sorted out with a psychiatrist. They kind of needlessly get loads of priests in, but the scares are effective. But there were some scenes with strange things happening outside doors, which either makes me think somebody's doing something to mess with me, or maybe the evil has seeped through the TV set. Who knows?
Just like a demon in Demons 2.
Demons 2. Were you complaining about sleeves at any point, Justin?
Well, I'm looking at my sleeves now and just making sure they're not going up and down. So.
Back and forth. These sleeves that go back and forth.
There she is, on cue.
Erik, you're not going to tire of that, are you?
I don't think I will.
But don't forget, I get final edit. So, well, with that in mind, it could be quite a quick show, couldn't it? So, anyway, thank you for listening to this Hysteria Continues. So, say goodbye to the good folks.
No, we aren't saying goodbye to any good folks. We say goodbye to them after we cover the Sorority House Massacre Part 1.
Okay, well, shall we get straight into it then?
Let's.
Yes.
Okay.
Something seems hauntingly familiar to Beth when she arrives at the sorority house for a fun weekend with her girlfriends. But Beth's fun weekend is plagued by a series of horrific nightmares, each one more real than the last, and each time the knife-wielding killer of her dreams is becoming more and more frenzied. You could have fooled me. When the girls throw an all-night party, they discover a most unwelcome guest. The Nightmare Maker, the Butcher Baker. A night of fun has become a night of horror as the bloodthirsty killer stalks them one by one. Sorority House Massacre, where nightmare and reality blend into a perfect slice of unadulterated, heart-stopping terror pie. All right, so that's the back of the video blurb for Erik's box, because this is from Erik's review on the Hysteria Lives. So that's the back of the video blurb for the video that he had at the time. Yes. Do you remember that, Erik?
I do. The UK VHS from Medusa, I think. Yeah.
Did they actually call it Terror Pie?
No. I put that in because I thought that sounded cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just a little choice dialogue. Go on, John. I like being spooked. That was from Sarah, oblivious to the fact that she's in a horror movie. Okay, now I'm not going to read Erik's full review there because you'll have to go read it yourself. But I do have a few things to say about this wonderful film. First of all, I absolutely love how cheerful our final girl, Beth, is throughout the whole movie, which I'm being very sarcastic there. It's a shame because she's a Debbie Downer. She's down all the time, and I get it. She's having some freaky dreams, and the dream sequences, thank you, Boomer. The dream sequences are fairly effective, I think. I like seeing like the pristine white dining room being stained with bright red blood. Although the three girls in the beginning that she talks to, that kind of remind me of Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm surprised they weren't jumping rope in front of the house. The fashion in the movie is just great, especially when they all try on Cindy's clothes. And it's a great montage, 80s fun. Even the melancholy Beth smiles a couple of times. But unfortunately, her Debbie Downer persona does end up putting a damper on the festivities. I love all the little scenes that kind of resemble Halloween, like where there's a scene with Linda in class and seeing the killer outside. But it's so much less effective than, say, Laurie seeing, Michael. We watched the unrated version that had all the extra scenes included, and I'm pretty sure you guys, as well as I, were able to see how crazy different Linda's hair is in those added scenes. It doesn't look the same to me at all. It's like a bigger perm or something. Did you guys get that?
Yes,
I noticed.
I can see why some of the scenes were cut out for the US release. Particularly the one that's seen about the hair growing out. It's like, what?
My hair is in such a weird transition phase.
And then they see Tracy down the road, but the camera doesn't actually cut to Tracy.
Yeah.
Sarah going, okay.
It's so awkward. Yeah. And, it seems like it takes the killer it takes him forever to get back home. I mean, I think about in Halloween, it didn't seem to take Michael as long to get back home as far as movie screen time goes. I did feel bad for the old man that was killed in the store. Once he gets stabbed, he just has this dumbfounded look on his face. It's like he just can't believe what's happening. I'm a real... What?
I did not feel bad for him, and I'll tell you why later, but go ahead.
Okay. The kills, unfortunately, I find them to be a bit bland. If you look at like the body count on the Hysteria sites, it's like male stabbed, female stabbed, male stabbed, male stabbed. It's all the same thing. It's like a little variety could have helped. And I did love, which we've talked about before, and Erik even kind of mentions in his review, like the line, some guy just killed Tracy, but he says it so like almost like it's an annoyance more than it's a something to be afraid about or upset about in any way. It's more you killed my girlfriend, that mildly irritates me.
Killed Tracy. Okay, just Tracy.
There we go.
No, I'm a big fan of the movie, despite there's definitely some flaws. I would personally probably give it an 8.5 out of 10. That's probably what I would go for. It loses just a little bit because of the kills. Maybe if the kills had been a little more, variety, I could have felt a little different. So, what about you, Joseph?
Erik, do you remember lime jello from a past life?
Have you been smoking the wacky tobacco?
No, this is a line from the movie.
Oh, is it?
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, they were talking about past lives, and one girl just kind of had a non sequitur. She's like, I remember lime jello from a past life. Anyway, Sorority House Massacre sort of straddles the fine line between just, I don't know, bizarre goofiness and I guess an above competent slasher. So for me, that's a good thing. I mean, it has some, pretty evocative cinematography in places, and I think the characters, while they're pretty interchangeable, save for one who shall be mentioned in a moment, are all pretty likable. I got sort of a initiation vibe from the film with the dreams and the brainwave monitoring and that old amnesia cliche where she couldn't remember what happened. And I kind of half expected the film to pull a Beth was the one who, spoiler alert, killed her family all along and blamed it on Bobby. I kind of expected that sort of gag, but I guess I'm giving the film a little too much credit. But, Beth, wow. I mean, what a total sourpuss, and she's just a personality vacuum. I mean, she nearly causes the film to kind of implode on itself with her constant just sulking and her dour attitude. And I kept hoping, kind of beyond hope, that the rest of the characters would kind of pull a Big Brother and banish her from the sorority house for being such a buzzkill. I mean, I get she had sort of a traumatic childhood, but she can't even remember much of it, if any of it. So she's basically just kind of constantly whining over some silly dreams, as far as she's concerned, or as far as she knows anyway. I mean, had she actually just kind of had full-on knowledge of, what happened between her and her brother and her family, she might have kind of just brought about the extinction of the human race, because anyone in her vicinity would probably surely off themselves by, within 2 minutes of talking to her. But no, I think what really makes the film work for me is that it genuinely does have some pretty good suspense set pieces near the end. I especially love the ladder scene where they're trying to escape the bedroom, and the one girl's going down the ladder and the killer's coming up the ladder. I thought that was very, quite effective little moment in the film. And I think Eric might agree with me that the maskless killer shtick is dull. I prefer killers with, wearing a mask if their identity is not going to be shrouded in mystery. At least put on some sort of mask. But I think the actor playing the murderer, I think he gets the job done in that sort of cheap jack kind of Michael Myers way. I mean, anything else I have to say about the film, we can just kind of go over with general talking points. So I'll just say thumbs up for me. I liked it a lot, actually.
Oh, awesome. Justin?
Well, I like it. I find it a little bit meh, if I'm honest. There's bits of it and I kind of really like. I do like the camaraderie of a lot of the sorority girls. I mean, I agree that the final girl, I mean, she's basically lacking sort of charm, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, isn't she? She is, as one of you already said, is like a personality vacuum. It's kind of, I find it kind of a weird mishmash, because it's obviously, we'll talk about later about some of the background, but it's kind of one of Roger Corman's movies that we had women directors, which even now is bizarrely a bit of a rarity, but certainly when it comes to exploitation and horror features. And famously, he had a woman direct Humanoids from the Deep, and then who objected to a lot of the nudity that was added in, and there's a lot of nudity in this film. I mean, not major, but all the girls show their breasts at some point, kind of fairly gratuitously, but it's thing. But you get like a male bare butt as well, so I suppose a bit of equal opportunities. But I don't think Carol Frank didn't seem to do very much else. I don't think she, regardless of her gender, was much of a major talent behind the scenes. It's effective for what it is. I mean, it is kind of well-worn old tropes of, the killer escaping hospital. It's obviously inspired by A Nightmare on Elm Street, even down to having girls or skipping ropes stood outside the house in kind of party dresses. So it's kind of obviously inspired by that, obviously inspired by Halloween, and these aren't bad things. And we said it so many times before. One of the beauties of the slasher genre is its repetition. is not necessarily, it's not always a great thing, but quite often it is. It's like putting a pair of like comfy slippers. And this film sort of does what it says on the tin. I think if it had a more likable lead, if almost any of the other girls had been the lead, because I can't remember their name, which the girl who dies last, Linda. I'd say if she'd been the lead, then I think it might have swung it a little bit more for me. I mean, there's lots of stuff to enjoy with it. I mean, I do find it bizarre that it takes so long for the killer, like you say, to get from the asylum there. There's this kind of psychic link between the killer, who I kept on thinking, because he's Robert Hinkle, isn't it? Kind of a Dottie Hinkle, which would have been a better killer if they'd got Mink Stoll to turn up and sort of butcher them all. Would have been great. But it takes forever to get there. But it turns out, it's another nod to Halloween 2, is that he is her brother. And he obviously killed everyone in that house, and she doesn't remember it, and all blah 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 blah. It's fairly obvious from the out, but there's no real explanation whatsoever for that psychic link, and it doesn't really. She's not a good enough actress at that point in her career, or ever to give it any kind of pathos that you would have got from, say, a Jamie Lee Curtis. Kind of in Halloween, or the end scenes of prom night, that type of thing. But having said that, it's probably a little unfair to try and compare Sorority House Massacre, which was effectively kind of Roger Corman's attempt as like a cheapy knockoff or to replicate the success of Slumber Party Massacre. It's not fair to really make that comparison. There's lots of bits, and I liked it. It kind of passes the time. There's quite a high body count, but as you mentioned, it's not particularly inventive by any stretch. There's some really stupid touches in it, like, for instance, even after the killer kills the girl in the teepee, and they all run in the house and they sort of barricade themselves in, they still leave one of the doors, outside doors, wide open for him to, or just shut, but he can just open it. They don't bother locking it. Things like that. The fact that people are being butchered out in the garden and people are just going, I could hear some shrieking, but I just think it's probably people having sex. Just lots of silly things. And it's kind of, it's probably one of the few slash movies I know that kind of makes a spunk joke halfway through. So it's got that going for it. But it's not, for me, it's not it's perhaps not cheesy enough to make it really memorable, and it's not good enough to be really memorable. It's somewhere in the middle for me. So I would say for me it's a kind of thumb hovering sideways, if I'm honest.
Okay, fair enough. Now, Erik,
remind me of the spunk joke.
She was talking about sorority boys making biscuits or something, and she says, I wonder what they use for frosting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Now, Erik, you originally gave this 2 stars out of 5 in your review. So what do you think of it now?
That review was done way back, probably the turn of the millennium, so it's probably 16, 17 years old, that review. It probably was the very first one I did for Justin's website. So I was reviewing the UK VHS back then, so I was completely unaware that the US version ran 10 minutes shorter. So there are probably references in that review that maybe people in the US were reading going, what is he on about? Because I remember we were doing a top 3, I think it was favourite dialogue clips, and I went looking for some dialogue from Sorority House Massacre, and I was using the US print, which is available on YouTube, as my reference, and I was scrolling through it forever trying to find that scene about them talking about the hair growing out, and I couldn't find it, and I was getting really frustrated. So this is the sort of 85-minute epic, boarding house style director's cut we're watching. My review was quite sniffy, I will agree. Mainly because one of the reasons is that I just couldn't fathom why so many people on forums and message boards were waxing lyrical about this film and saying that it was a really effective horror movie, and they were comparing it favorably to Halloween. And I was just gobsmacked because I just couldn't see the same film that these people were saying. I would probably side with Justin on this one. I find the film a bit meh. There is bits in it I really love, mainly the time capsule elements. to say the film is dated is an understatement. It just screams 1986 from every pore. And I love the throwaway scenes of the girls talking about their hair and contemplating eating Melanie's ice cream or trying on Cindy's clothes, talking about chew bread. And the trying on Cindy's clothes montage is a high point for me. I love all that stuff, the sort of just the hijinks and that. It's the horror elements I find are a bit bland. The killer's totally anonymous, and I find him uninteresting. The same go, as we've all said, the final girl, Beth. She falls into the trap that a lot of final girls in that she's portrayed as being somewhat troubled from the start. So we never get to see her, as a bright, happy girl. So we never get to sort of empathize with her a bit. She's a bit goth, should I say, Justin? You'd probably gotten well with her. She probably likes hanging around graveyards and stuff.
Eric.
No, but it's true. She probably wants to try Cindy's black veils.
She kind of reminded me of a more sourpuss version of Sally from Demons.
Yeah,
I kept expecting her to do the sleeve bit, but she didn't.
Yeah, because to me, the more interesting characters in Sorority House Massacre, and this is just the same with a lot of these films, is the background ones. As Justin was saying, if Linda or Sarah had been the final girl, then maybe it might have been more effective for me. Beth's recurring nightmares, I just found them... I mean, the one with the knife coming out of the mirror I thought was really quite a cool image, but otherwise I found them a bit bland. So as weak as I think the horror is, the hijinks in the sorority house themselves are kind of fun, and the fashions are so dated and gaudy that I did get some enjoyment out of them. And I do love that line where the guy runs naked through the house and delivers his deadpan, "Some guy just killed Tracy." So I probably like it slightly more maybe than Justin does, maybe a 6 out of 10 for me. But yeah, just because the horror elements are so weak, it'll never be a classic for me.
I can understand that. It's funny. I was thinking about what Justin was saying about how he just found it mad because it wasn't cheesy enough to him to be memorable, but it wasn't, good enough to be memorable. And I was thinking it's true because if I look at Justin's site and see that, say, he's given a movie a 2 or a 2.5 out of 5, I'm much more likely to watch stuff that's a half a star out of 5 or a 1 star out of 5 than I am to watch a 2.5.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of there's a lot of little moments in this film that I found like very laughably cheesy. Actually, we were talking earlier about the old man who gets killed in the shop, and I didn't feel sorry for him because he basically he sees and hears the guy break the glass, and he just walks right up to him. I mean, he walks within inches of him to get stabbed. He doesn't kind of cautiously approach the guy, so I didn't really feel sorry for him. I thought that was funny. And then later, to what?
I was just going to say, it's like walking up to Jason and going, "Excuse me, Mr. Voorhees, what do you think you're doing with that big axe?"
Yeah, and then later when the killer steals the carjack victim basically just walks into the car and gets pummeled with the cars. I didn't feel bad for her either. There's also a few little moments I laughed at when the killer escapes from the asylum. When he jumps the fence, you can actually see his butt crack. I thought that was funny.
I like the way he escapes so pretty darn easily from this high security sanitarium.
Yeah. I shouldn't have. I did laugh at this, but I thought it was kind of hilarious that this bunch of lily white college kids were just blatantly using Native American props and stuff for their little party, and kind of engaging in racial verbiage. Like one of them says something about firewater, and they put up a teepee, and there's that giant cigar store Indian. I mean, it's almost offensive watching it. In today's kind of climate, how everyone's so offended with everything. It is kind of offensive, but it's kind of funny at the same time. And Erik and I, and I think Nathan, we were talking earlier before the show was being recorded about some of the things in this film that you could pick out. You could have a drinking game. Like a lot of people just sneak up on people constantly. One guy gets kneed in the crotch because of it. I mean, people just are constantly like walking up right behind someone and startling them. So anytime that happens, just take a shot and you'll be passed out.
My drinking game was to see how many times they barricade the door with a chest of drawers and then move the chest of drawers back, and then go back into the bedroom and barricade it again, and then go back out again.
No, another little thing I liked about this film, I like how it used there's a moment earlier in the film where they're putting the teepee together, and I think he's using a brick to hammer in one of the stakes, and that brick is basically Chekhov's gun. It comes back into play later when she finds the brick on the ground and throws it at the killer. I was like, hey, Chekhov's gun, that's pretty interesting. No, I mean, just a lot of little things like that I liked. I appreciated little moments like that. I think it could have been a lot cheesier, like Justin was saying. I do love all the big hair and the gaudy clothes, but if you actually watch and just kind of, you'll see little moments that are kind of, humorously effective. I think the biggest one for me is probably just what a coincidence it is that the sorority house she's basically pledged into is the same house where she lived as a kid, and that whole murder thing. I mean, what a coincidence. That's so far-fetched. It was funny.
Oh, bad.
I still like the fact that they have the place themselves, and the first thought they have is to excitedly eat Melanie's ice cream. I mean, how empty are their lives?
I mean, yeah, because she says something like, do you know what I always do? I mean, if time stopped, or like, that's what you would do? That's it? You couldn't go get your own ice cream?
Well, no,
I like
if time stopped, she would try on Cindy's clothes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like how trying on Cindy's clothes is this like once in a lifetime thing that no one really gets a chance to do, and they're like so excited to be doing it. It's like, oh my God, do you not have a life? No, but I really, really liked it. I thought it had some pretty good suspenseful moments. Like Nathan said, I thought some of the murders were just kind of bland, stab here, stab there. I wish the killer would have had like a variety of weapons. That would have been a lot better. Yeah. That would have helped it. But I really do love that, the final 10 minutes in the house with them basically running up the stairs, running down the stairs, trying to go out the window. And maybe one of you can explain this to me, but when the killer jumps through the window, was that on the first or second floor? Because he just kind of he looks like he almost gets thrown through the window.
It's the second floor, I think.
Yeah, so how did he jump through the window like that if it's on the second floor?
Well, remember in Killer Workout, a.k.a. Aerobicide, that killer jumped through a window, landed like 2 stories down, and got up and ran away. Wasn't even injured.
No, but I'm wondering if it's on the second floor, how did he jump all that? He just jumped like 2 stories into the window?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. It's the laws of physics. They don't apply here.
Yeah.
I do like the slasher movies where you have a few people being killed off, and then you have everyone knows what's going on and they're all trying to escape. Because you've got like the Friday 13th school or the Halloween school of filmmaking where you do get down to the final girl or final boy or whatever. But with this and Slumber Party Massacre, which obviously it's got some links to, then you do have, like, say, half the cast being killed before the rest of the cast, the survivors realise what's going on and all band together to try and survive, but still get killed off one by one, even though they're in the middle of probably a kind of a fairly well-populated area. None of the neighbours seem to hear anything going on.
Yeah, none of the other sorority houses on that sorority row, unless they didn't think anything about it.
Well, there you go. They probably thought there were so many massacres happening back in the 1980s in sorority houses. They probably just thought, oh, God, not another one.
It's just so commonplace.
Yeah. So, okay, well, do we want to do a little bit of background? And then we can talk a bit more about the movie, and then we can so who would like to... Yeah. Well, Nathan, as it's your pick, what have you found on IMDb for us?
I did more than IMDb search this time.
Did you? Okay.
Yes. Okay, now, beginning, this comes from the IMDb. The blonde woman in the poster artwork is actress Susie Slater. She doesn't appear in the actual movie. Do you guys know who Susie Slater is?
Did she go on to be Mrs. Slater in the house on Sorority Row?
No. She was the one.
Christian Slater's sister?
No. Erik, do you want to venture a guess?
I would say Christian Slater before the sex change.
Oh, okay. No to that too. She was the blonde that got her head blown up in Chopping Mall.
Okay.
Yeah. The initials on Beth's suitcase as she's entering the sorority house are the same initials that are on the outside of the house. LBH. Laura Beth. Do y'all get it? it's like a reference to the big twist that was a shock to all of us, I'm sure.
Shock.
Yeah, it was a total shock.
Yes. Carol Frank was assistant director on the Slumber Party Massacre prior to writing and directing this feature. She should have picked up some tips from Slumber Party, I think. Because I feel like Slumber Party itself is just a little bit more entertaining. Because the killer shows up real quick in Slumber Party.
I would love to see a mix of Slumber Party, all the horror elements of Slumber Party Massacre with the fashions of Sorority House Massacre. I'd like.
Yeah, that couldn't be beat. And actually, speaking of Slumber Party Massacre, that's the movie the sorority girls and their boyfriends are watching on TV.
The UK version, it's Humanoids from the Deep.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. Did you not notice that, Nathan, all the way through? Because they showed loads of clips. It's a black and white, where it's been version of Humanoids from the Deep. So there must have been a rights issue.
Maybe so. Yeah, I watched both versions because I wanted to see what the additional scenes were, and I really didn't have to watch both versions because all I had to do was pay attention to Linda's hair, and that would have told me all I needed to know. Speaking of that, when Linda, the actress, got married, both Nicole Rio, who played Tracy, and Pamela Ross, who played Sarah, attended her wedding. So they must have became really good friends on the set. I think that translates on screen. They seem to genuinely like each other. Pamela Ross, who played Sarah, was also in the 1989 slasher classic Moonstalker, where she played Sophie, who gets burned to death in the shower. So that's everything that I have, except for sorority course as a slide. I messed up. Darn it! I was going to say something cool. I messed it up. I was going to say Sorority House Massacre is a slash course in absolute terror.
Well done. Okay.
Thank you. So that's all the background I have. Justin, did you check Variety to see what the budget was?
Shade.
Well, not really, because you have to pay to access Variety, and any old schlump can type in IMDb. Not you, of course. Don't come for me, Svanji. Right.
But Vanji.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got. Oh, what was that? Oh God. God, can you imagine if Erik had a drunk cast? This was a drunk cast, and what it would be like. But I do have some stuff, and funnily enough, I do have some stuff from Variety. But the film. Do you know what the film was originally called?
It was originally called "Some Guy Just Killed Tracy."
House and Some Guy Just Killed Tracy Ice Cream Bowlerama.
That would have been better than the original title. The original title was simply Sorority.
Oh, boring.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
as boring as that.
Now this is the thing for any filmmakers, as you and Nathan and Joseph are filmmakers with the classic A Night Before Easter or The Night Before Easter. Is
and the old Massacre.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. What does DV stand for?
Digital video?
No.
Well, in what context?
Well, it said, and this is, it says the film was initially titled Sorority, according to a casting notice in the 20th January 1986 DV. Oh, of course, it's Daily Variety, isn't it? Sorry, I've answered my own question.
There we
go. So it was casting in January of 1986, and it was scheduled to begin filming in February of 1986 in Los Angeles, California. However, on the 7th of May 1986, Variety indicated the principal photography did not start until 4th of March 1986. This is fascinating, isn't it? But and the title had changed to Sorority House Massacre. They said that the film actually opened on the 10th of April 1987, and had a very limited US release. The other things that I don't want to take everything away from Erik and Joseph, but the other couple of things was just to mention that Angela O'Neill, I found an interview with her where she talked about appearing in this film, and it was done probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And she said that she got the job on the film, and when she got there, she read the script, and it was full of basically tits, and like I said, you have to get topless in this scene, and she refused. And they said, well, it's in the script, you've got to do it. And she said, no, I'll walk. But because it was such a tight shooting schedule that they said, okay, so they let her keep her top on. But all of the other women in the film, well, not all of them, but most of the other sorority sisters had to disrobe at one time or the other. I've got a couple of other things, but I'll just leave those open in case I don't want to take everything from Erik and Joseph. But if you don't pick those up, I'll come back in after that.
Joseph, do you have any background?
Yes, Angela O'Neill, who plays Beth. She didn't have much of an acting career. She just had like 6 additional kind of minor credits, but she had a pretty successful career as a property master on several movies and TV shows. The one thing I noticed that was kind of interesting on a lot of the movies that she was a property master for, she was uncredited. So I was kind of wondering if they just kind of like nixed her credits because she was still like being a personality vacuum. I don't know. But I think Justin mentioned this already, but I can't remember. But the film was given a limited theatrical release in the States by Concord Pictures in October of 1986 is what I got. And it was released on VHS the following year by Warner Home Video. And that's pretty much all I have that wasn't, read out already. So.
Okay.
Well, everything that I had has been read out already. So all I will say is, did you enjoy watching all the trailers and the Medusa video that we had?
I did. I did love watching those.
Mm-hmm. It was Willie,
fun.
which was called something different in the States. I can't remember. What else was on it?
I can't remember. It was a bunch of 80s stuff.
Yeah, a bunch of 80s straight-to-video horror. But yeah,
that's what was awesome about it.
Yeah.
Justin, did they read off what you had left?
Well, the only other thing that I had was that the killer, played by John C. Russell, died in 1994, aged 39. But I don't know what he died of. But Angela O'Neill said in the interview that you find, I can't remember which website it's on now, but that he was very, very nice to her. And they stayed in touch for a while after the film, but they lost touch, and she didn't know that he died. So,
Nicole Rio, that played Tracy, had mentioned in one of the interviews she did for the Blu-ray release that in the middle of filming her death scene, it required several takes. So, like between takes, he was offering to get people coffee and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, that is a pretty nice guy, and he's playing a killer.
Well, exactly. So anyway, it's to end on a bit of a downer, but there you go. So,
well, I'm going to liven it up just a little bit. I have a quick question for both of y'all, or all three of y'all. Who did you think was a more dour final girl? Beth in Sorority House Massacre or Tina in Friday the 13th Part 7?
Beth, I would say.
Beth. Because Tina cried a lot too, but in her defense, she wasn't there to hang out with friends.
No. But she did have a few chuckles with that guy that Justin fancies.
Kevin Spiritus.
That's
the one, yeah.
And also, she had the psychic abilities, didn't she, to differentiate herself?
Yeah. To throw stuff with her mind.
Yeah, because all Beth had was like an ugly page boy haircut and plimsolls.
Yeah, she does.
She had unfortunate hair in the film.
Yeah. So
it was unfortunate.
She wore a pink cardigan and stuff, where all the other girls were wearing like really gaudy blouses with pictures of pineapples on them.
I liked Linda's outfit, where it looks like a women's business suit, but she's wearing these white boots with it.
She's like Romeo and Michelle.
Yes, it's just awesome. Okay. But anyway, yeah, so Sorority House Massacre, I say that, between the four of us, we give it meh to excellent. So that's a pretty decent recommendation.
It measures on the scale of meh to excellent, yeah. I think it's not the silly 80s vibe of it is enough to keep me entertained.
Cool. Okay, well, how about after the credits? Do you want to have a little chat about that, Nathan?
Yes.
Don't press stop. Shut after credit show.
All right. Now, at the end, we are given indication that Beth is going to be tormented for the rest of her life. Very much the same way that Chris from Friday the 13th Part 3 or Sally from Texas Chainsaw Massacre will be tormented for the rest of their lives. So, do you guys think that Beth went on to live a happy life afterwards? This is what I think. I think that her brother was not dead, and he came to a hospital and started killing everybody to get to her. And Dr. Kill Patient, and his trusty gun is on his way back to the hospital to save her. And at the end, he explodes with the killer in the hospital, and Beth rides away in an ambulance to the tune of Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
Very good.
Wow.
Well, that's a lot of imagination.
Yeah. It's called Sorority House Massacre Part 2, Hospital Massacre. So, Justin, what about you?
Well, I think Beth kind of just moped away, and she moved to Ireland and started a band called the Cranberries and made miserable music for quite a few years before she died in a hotel room. So,
You don't like the Cranberries, Justin?
Well, I didn't mind it when they were like a new indie band when it first came out, but they turned into a pretty god awful racket.
Yeah, with probably the worst lyricists ever.
Yeah, so that's my happy ending.
What about you, Joseph?
I'd say the sequel. I like your idea of it being set in the hospital. So instead of the tagline being "more of the night he came home," it'd be "more of the night Beth won't stop." More of the night Beth keeps on moaning, or whatever. More of the night of Beth's moans. I don't know. She
sounds more like a porn tagline.
Sounds like
yeah,
porno.
I can't think of a way to rhyme it. I'm a little off today.
Well,
how about you, Erik?
Okay, well, I think that it turns out to be all a dream. Beth wakes up and she's been listening to a compilation of goth music, and that's why in the dream she was so dour and depressed. But then she goes downstairs and Sarah says, "Let's eat Melanie's ice cream," and she realizes the whole thing is about to start happening for real.
Oh,
that means she gets to rewatch the clothes montage.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
that's chilling.
Chilling, terrifying. Did you guys know that there's a Sorority House Massacre Part 2 that we're going to cover at some point?
Yes,
I do. I have that one on DVD as well.
It's like Hard to Die, but in a sorority house. I'm so excited.
You just can't hide it.
Yes.
You know.
But I promise you guys that won't be the next film I pick. You guys already know what it is.
Yeah.
But to anybody listening, I'll give you just a little hint. When I said the double feature I want to pick next, Justin said he's taking a sabbatical. Joseph said he'll be sick that weekend. And Erik said he can't find them on the internet. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that was their response to what I'm picking next. Stay tuned.
And also we said we will collectively hope the rapture happens on Monday. But then we realise none of us will be raptured, so we'll be trapped in the living hell. So you might as well play those two movies.
So yeah, those two movies are perfect for that.
Well, let's, before we get on to, I think there might be a couple of jokes of the week. Shall we get some feedback on Sorority House Massacre? Joseph, do you have the Facebook and Twitter to hand?
Sure. Let's see. John Matthews says, recently revisited this on the Scorpion Blu-ray. I enjoyed it. Just felt like it was 5 years too late and would have fit perfectly in the golden age. Very cliche, but yes, I agree with the comments that part 2 is the gem. Willie Greer says, been a while, but Wynorski is generally more missed than hit for me. I don't think Wynorski had anything to do with this one, did he?
No, he did part 2. I think he would got it mixed up with part 2.
Yeah. Now, this one's kind of funny. Cotty Pagan, I guess is their name. He says, I licked it, but the second one wins hands down. He didn't say liked, he said licked. So I guess he licked his copy of Sorority House Massacre.
And why not?
And why not? Exactly. It's Susie Slater. All you straight guys.
Grayson Frank says, one of the first slashers I remember seeing got a special place in my heart. Antonio Astris Joseph Archakovic. I think I mentioned them last time. I'm all up for Halloween ripoffs, but this wasn't as fun and cheesy as I wanted it to be. I enjoy part 2 a whole lot more, especially changing Russ Thorne to Hawkstatter. That shit cracks me up every time. Don Nice says, great mid-'80s cheese. Lars Jacobson says, love the first one, lukewarm on the second. Mark Harrison says, wasn't this the film that ripped off Halloween? Seemed far too cheap to take seriously. Jeff Harrington says, a good movie. And finally, Brennan Klein says, obviously Cindy's clothes are the most important thing about this film, and maybe cinema in general. The rest is fine.
They are the most important thing in cinema, I think.
Yeah. Cindy's sleeves go back and forth.
She got them shoulder pads for days. I got some feedback.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody else have any feedback before I read my feedback for the feedback section?
We did the or shall we do the joke of the week if it's a general feedback?
Yeah, what I have is a generalized feedback, so we'll do the joke of the week first.
Okay, here we go. Who's going first?
I'll go last.
Okay.
It's my joke of the week. It's so freaking fantastic.
So it's me, yes?
Yes, it's you.
Did you know that there was the film is going to be a horror and porn movie crossover based around a killer who punished couples who were engaging in sodomy? It was going to be called Sorority House Massacre. Sorority.
You know what I love the most about this joke? What I love the most about it is Erik started to laugh before he even gave the punchline.
Erik.
I like that one, Erik. That was good.
You did say you didn't have one a few minutes before we started, so I can see that. That was made up, wasn't it, on the cuff?
The cuff.
Well, you can never accuse me of plagiarizing my jokes. They're all 100% original.
He's right.
Yes. Well, thank you, Erik. Well, let's say it's a battle of the jokes because I think do you have one, Nathan?
Well, I told it to you guys on the chat, and you guys said it was terrible.
Okay, and here's Nathan's joke of the week.
It's my joke of the week. It's so freaking fantastic.
Do you know what the director of this film says at Christmas time? She says, "Let me be frank with you. I really love singing Christmas carols," because her name's Carol.
I didn't press anything.
What was that?
Yeah, what was that, Erik?
It sounds like you're watching porn.
It's not. It's that's somebody going ew from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
Oh, sounds like something else.
I don't know what kind of porn you've been watching, Nathan, but Joseph, here's your chance to shine.
It's my joke of the week. It's so freaking fantastic.
Okay, apparently when I was doing research on this film, I learned that there is a cut scene that showed that Melanie liked a lot of nuts in her ice cream. But they decided to cut the scene because this is Sorority House Massacre, not Sorority House Mass Acorn. Acorn, nuts, massacre, mass acorn, massacre.
Oh, no.
Okay, Justin, you got to decide who won this 3 battles of the jokes.
So I'm still trying to get over that. I think if I'm going to be fair, I think it's probably Erik's.
Yay! Oh, fine. You don't like Christmas, obviously.
What a Scrooge, Ebenezer.
Well, I think
bah humbug from now on.
Although I do think Joseph, yours is the most surreal, and Nathan's was the most nonsensical.
What was Melody's ice cream?
Well, Nathan's, yours was the most. I can't really find a word for it.
Stupid.
It was festive.
Well, it's festive. Yes, let's be kind and call it festive. So
that's the kindness coming from you. Hey, are we having a battle of the jokes on our Patreon pick?
Well,
I have a joke.
Okay. You have to think quick because we're recording our Patreon pick.
Hey, I've got a joke. I've got a joke for it. Oh my God! Hang on. I wrote this down. Okay, go ahead. I'll mute myself.
But no, it's your. You've got to read out the feedback.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, phooey. Horse feathers. All right. Hang on. Let me write this joke down right quick. Okay. All right. Okay, so the feedback that I got, and I got this from Joseph, but he's not the one that wrote the feedback. He sent it to me to read out. It says, more feedback for this weekend. Hey, guys, I've been thinking about this for a while now. Since you are coming to the end of your Friday the 13th and Halloween retrospectives, I was wondering if you would consider starting over from the beginning when you've reached the end. I know it might seem weird to cover a movie more than once, but if you think about it, these are movies we've all seen multiple times anyway. What does it matter if you repeat yourselves? The important thing is that we retain tradition. Besides, I think there is more to talk about with the films than what you said the first go around. For instance, instead of having each person give their take on the movie, you could perhaps discuss a few key aspects of the movie or key scenes in more detail. I would skip trivia this time around, though. What do you think? Are you up for it, or do you think it's a terrible idea? He also goes on to say, while I'm making requests, could you do a top 3 ending scenes where the killer is shown or implied to still be alive? You've not done this one yet. I know, as I've cataloged all of them. Since the name of this podcast is taken from the idea that hysteria continues at the ends of slashers because the killer is still on the prowl, I think it would be a fitting topic for you to cover. Thanks for all your hard work, David H. And Joseph added a little addendum that it's also a mashup of Hysteria Lives and Body Count Continues.
I did not add that. He did.
Oh, okay. David added that. Okay. I thought Joseph added that. Okay. So what do we think about his first request about recovering like Friday the 13th and Halloween's? Personally, I don't know, only because I don't know anything else I could say about the first Halloween or the first Friday the 13th. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested to hear your guys' ideas though.
Well,
they do crop up in conversation all the time, I think, anyway. So it is like
I think the idea is a decent one, but I just don't know if I want to talk about Jason X ever again.
What about a new beginning?
I
don't want to cover Halloween Resurrection again.
Well, we still got. I don't
want to cover 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8.
Well, we still got Halloween, the Rob Zombie ones to get through at some point, and then of course we'll have Halloween 2018 to cover. We've got Friday 13th 2009 to cover. We could even do, we could do Friday the 13th fan films, couldn't we? It's like Never Hike Alone. So there's a few things left in there. Although I did have an idea, and I haven't spoken to you guys about it, because I did wonder about floating the idea for our 200th episode of going back and redoing Happy Birthday to Me.
Ooh. I like that idea.
See, I actually like the idea of redoing. I just don't know. I mean, I think it's a matter of which ones we redo, I guess. But I do like that idea because I didn't get to do Happy Birthday with me.
Yeah, exactly.
We did the commentary for the Blu-ray.
We did the commentary for the Blu-ray, but I just thought it'd be quite, as we didn't have Nathan with us, and as it would be a birthday episode, I just thought maybe the 200th episode do Happy Birthday to Me Spectacular.
You know what we should do?
He didn't do the initiation either, although he did a commentary for it as well. So
you know what I was thinking though is that if we were redoing the first episode, we should go back and see what the top 3 or top 5 was at the time, and see if we've changed from that. That would be a fun discussion. I mean, I can give mine, but it
could be sort of like our own little reboot.
Yeah, like a little reboot of that for our birthday episode.
And then we could do who would we get playing people or whatever in a remake. So we could do like a whole remodel thing as well. But anyway, it's just an idea. We're I don't know, we're probably about a year and a bit away from the 200th episode. So, but it's just an idea.
You just gave me a great idea, Justin. I think a top 3 for one of those episodes should be top 3 who you think should be if we were rebooting the podcast, who would play Justin, who would play Erik, who would play Nathan, et cetera, et cetera. You got to pick 3 actors who you think would play each other.
Okay.
Do you know what the difference this time around though is? Like that something we didn't have for the episode 1 that we have now is my soundboard.
You whore!
Oh, and my microphone.
Fuck yourself!
Oh God, I can just see those iTunes or whatever they call it, Apple Podcasts figures plummeting.
Oh,
no, not really.
Eric, you ruined the podcast.
Again.
Hey, before I forget, though, what do we think of his top 3 idea, where the killer is shown to be alive, or it's at least implied the killer survived?
Yeah,
there's a lot of movies that do that.
I think we need to jot these down because I think the top 3s were very popular. So who wants to take charge of that? Because whatever happens, whenever someone writes in and says, I've got an idea for a top 3, we always go, oh, that's a great idea, and never do it. So who's going to take charge of that?
I can hang on.
You write it down because you write down stuff really well.
Yeah, I'm good at that. I'm gonna type.
One of you 3 do it because I'm already doing all the social media. So somebody else do it. Can't somebody else do it?
Well, I mean that's what I was saying. Is I'm writing it down on my computer.
That was a Homer Simpson reference.
Killer is alive. Things. Oh, and Amanda, the next episode Amanda's on, she wanted to know if y'all would be interested in doing top 3 most attractive people in 80s slasherdom.
Yes.
Amanda,
yes.
For that, is she?
Yes, that'd be a good one.
What'd you say, Eric?
Amanda's going to join us for that one, is she?
Oh, she'd like to. Yeah, she said I think she's got her top 3.
I bet she has. I bet she's going to find it very tough to choose them. But funny, something I'm not sure what it is, but that funny tapping sound, I always hear that during a quiz. Why would that be?
Yeah, Eric.
Hang on. If you always hear that, I gave the last quiz, so I don't know who was doing it.
Well, anyway, let's
save as. Hang on just a second. I'm gonna save it as. What should I call this file? Podcast ideas. Okay.
It's like being
Eric.
Like being in 9 to 5.
If I took keyboarding in high school, don't hate me because I typed fast.
Well, you went to high school?
Eric took
in Murray County, if you call it that.
So,
what were you saying?
No, nothing. Here's how to get in touch with the show.
The content of this podcast was provided by Justin Kurzweil, Eric Frillfall, Nathan Johnson, and Joseph Henson. If you enjoy our program and are willing and able to provide a donation, please visit us on Patreon and become a content-designated subscriber. That's patreon.com/The Hysteria Continues. For non-subscriber PayPal donations and general feedback, our address is the.hysteria.continues@gmail.com. To listen and interact, simply search for The Hysteria Continues on iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Susie versus Toya forever.
Yes, so we always love to hear from you. So there's lots of ways to get in touch with the show. And, of course, we've got our exclusive Patreon perks, which, of course, is an extra episode a month, a mini-sode where we chat about non-slasher horror or cult movies. And this time, actually, after this show, we're going to be covering our next Patreon pick, which I'm not sure if it will be out by the time this comes out, or say we're doing this so far in advance, but we're going to be doing 2016's The Greasy Strangler. So if you'd like to listen to that, then all you need to do to become a Patreon supporter is pledge $1, or I think it's $2 a month. And also, of course, you get access to all our past episodes as well. So
if you pledge more than $1 or $2, we'll love you forever. We'll love you a long time.
Exactly. And you get how many have we done now? We've done about 7, 6, 7
Patreon like episodes. No, we're in the double digits now.
Are we? Oh well, there you go. Yeah. So, but anyone who pledges a Patreon gets to listen back to all of the others, don't they?
And there's prizes to be won.
Is there?
Isn't there?
Yeah. There's a once we get to 250, there's a prize pack for.
Oh yes.
One random person will get. Let's see if I can remember what it is. The Phantasm box set, Necromantic Blu-ray, Frightmare on Blu-ray, and a signed copy of Graduation Day with all of our signatures on it.
Yeah.
Since we did the commentary for it.
Yeah.
And there's more to come.
And a pair of Eric's panties.
And a pair of my soiled panties.
Yes.
They have to be soiled.
Justin, we've done, as of releasing Evils of the Night, I think it was yesterday or the day before I released it, we've done 11 so far. So
excellent. And actually, talking of releases, as it were, be sure to pick up 88's release of Offerings, the kind of Oscar-worthy slasher from 1987, is it? I think 87. And we've been getting some nice reviews. We did a commentary for that, and we've got a lot. Well, I say a lot, but we've got some other commentaries coming up, which we can't talk about now. But we've got a few very exciting prospects coming up.
There's one that we're still waiting for it to be released as well. I think it's coming out in July.
Yes, I'm not sure we can talk about that, but we've recorded one, and we've got a few for different labels as well, and we've got one coming up from one of the big ones as well, which we can't talk about, but you should find out soon enough. So so watch out for that.
Big one.
Time permitting, we're going back to Vinegar Syndrome. It's the first in a long time. Something
Big
from Vinegar Syndrome.
So, well, anyway, we're going to go off and eat Melanie's ice cream. Hopefully there'll be a vegan version there for me and Joseph. And Eric's going to try on Cindy's clothes. And Nathan's going to get his big chopper out. So it's going to be fun all round. We're going to have an 80-star sorority party here at the Hysteria Continues.
We promise to our Patreon people, if we get to 1 billion Patreon subscribers, we'll have a sorority house party.
Exactly. Yep. And we'll all get topless.
Well, I think 1,000 we could actually do that long fabled video cast, perhaps.
Well, Eric gets topless at the as soon as a camera goes on.
Eric's done video casts.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I was just wittering because I realised this is quite a short episode, but as they say, good things come in small packages.
And the shorter the berry, the bigger the juice.
Well, on that bombshell, what were you playing out with?
This song is called Sorority House Massacre. It's by someone named Cluster Buster. He does like soundtracks on... I found his channel on YouTube. He's got a lot of like new wave synth style stuff. And this is for Sorority House Massacre by Cluster Buster. So there you go.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll play out that. So goodbye to the good people.
Goodbye, good people. I hope you survive the final exam.
And I hope for once we find out what Melanie's favorite ice cream flavor is.
Chocolate.
Melanie's ice cream.
And don't worry, Erik is banished from using that ever again.
Yourself, you whore! I hate you, you whore!
You can hear that, okay?
I can hear that, Erik, yes. Oh, we're in for a world of fun, aren't we?
Hang on. Sally has something to say.
These slaves that go back and forth.
Well,
every time somebody irritates Erik, he's going to play that clip from Werewolf Woman.
Yep.
Speak to us, Erik. Speak to us.
Erik, are you there?
Erica? Is it your evil twin sister?
We've lost Erik.